Hey everyone, Dylan here, and in today's video I'm going to be doing my top 5 favorite consoles, game consoles, and that includes handhelds. So how do I start this off? Okay, so I'm going to go try to do this quickly in next week's, I think Wednesday or Monday's next week videos. I'm going to go into depth about like the consoles themselves to give more about them and my experience getting them, kind of maybe as a story and I'll kind of breeze through them, but this is just my list. I have not owned every console. I have played a little bit of Xbox, and I haven't owned every console, so just wanted to preface that. But these are just my favorite, partially to what I like, my experience to getting them, and then also what they offered, the big giant jumps, how I thought they looked, and just my nostalgic attached to it, and all those kind of things. So we'll just get started with number 5 on my list. So my number 5 is the GameCube. So, in the very beginning, I don't think many people liked the GameCube, and I think eventually I got, I'll tell this story more in depth, but I did get to eventually get one and play it, and I really enjoyed the games on it, and I enjoyed the GameCube. It was something different, It was just this cool cube thing with the 4 controllers. It was like a big upgrade at Nintendo 64, and then it switched to discs, little mini discs, because Nintendo has to be different about everything. You can't do full-size discs, but whatever. And so the GameCube was great for what it was. And it just, I guess, didn't age well for people, for some people. I mean, even nowadays, the controllers are still being used, so it must have did something right. But the funny thing is, when I actually we had a GameCube, and eventually maybe my parents gave it away, but later on I did buy a GameCube from a game store. The GameCube was $20. Isn't that sad how far? I mean, it was perfectly fine. Wasn't disgusting, wasn't nasty, it was in fine condition. $20. Like, the value just freaking plummeted. You're just like, I don't know what happened. And this was in 2013 when I bought it. I bought it in 2013, and it was $20. And then the GameCube games I bought alongside it were more. They were like $25. I'm like, how can I be getting this console for less than less than what these games are costing me? The games cost more, so it's just really crazy. But I love the GameCube. It had great games, but it's not my favorite console. But yeah. So next is my number 4. And my number 4 is the PS4. Haha! Now, you're going to see a lot of coincidences here that I only realized once I made the list and just looked at it. I was like, oh. I was like, that's kind of funny. It worked out like that. But yeah, the PS4 is my 4th most favorite console. It's, of course, one of the last consoles I ended up getting and playing, but I think we got picked one up in 2014, maybe 2015. So I've had mine for 5 years, and I really liked it. Just the nice, sleek design of the PS4 looked really cool. It went back to, you entering the disc. It just looked really nice. And there were some cool things that went with it, Some disappointments I had about it were it wasn't backwards compatible, and that really sucked. They, of course, later have kind of fixed this, with streaming with PlayStation Now, because you can play PS2 games on it. I don't know if they have PS1 games now, but you can at least stream some PS2 games. They also did remaster, or I don't know if that's the right word. They made the resolution higher and better on some PS2 games and made you buy them that worked on the PS2 or PS4. But it wasn't, you couldn't just play whatever, so it wasn't a complete good fix. I don't even know if you can play PS1 games now on PlayStation Now, and of course there's the caveat of if you don't have good enough internet, then it's not going to work out for you well, so that's kind of the bad thing. the quality on PS4 games was nice. The PS4 looked nice itself. Of course, the streaming options and the PlayStation Now option to stream games was a little bit. But because of, like, you know, it not being backwards compatibility and the PlayStation Now thing is not a complete fix, I think they could have at least let you still play PS1 and added at least PS1, you know, like the PS2 and PS3 both played PS1 games. Why couldn't you make the PS4 do it? Like, there's no reason why. And I honestly think you could have let it play you could have made it play PS2 games as well. I think both those should have been added. PS3, alright, I see why at the time you couldn't do that one, but at least add PS1 and PS2. You know, I know you can do it, and it definitely PS1. So that's kind of my gripe about that, and then now PlayStation Now is not really a complete solution, so that's why it's kind of here at number 4. I still like the console, it looks great, and that is why the PS4 is my number 4. Next, my number 3, and this one might be you might question me a little bit about it, but hear me out. My number 3 is the 3DS. The Nintendo 3DS, specifically the new Nintendo 3DS XL. God, Nintendo. But the 3DS, the normal one, could be here too, but with the new Nintendo 3DS, it, you know, it changes some things up. It adds a little knob thing so you have a little extra stick kind of camera thing. It wasn't the best, but it was still something extra. Also, it was twice as powerful, and it could play Super Nintendo Virtual Console games, which the normal 3DS couldn't. So that's why I'm kind of saying the new Nintendo 3DS above it, because it has that extra capability of playing Super Nintendo games, you know, from the Virtual Console. If not, then the 3DS is still great. So I'm not going to go into great detail, but I really love the 3DS because it's a great package. So with the new Nintendo 3DS, you know, you get the ability to play a bunch of different games. Honestly, you have being able to play normal DS games from back in the day before the 3DS, and so you got all those games, and then you got all the new 3DS games they came out with. And then, they had a bunch of Virtual Console games. They came out with Virtual Console Game Boy games that you could play. And then they came out with, Super Nintendo Virtual Console games, and even just maybe the normal NES, Nintendo Entertainment System. The first NES's games are on there too as well. So you get a bunch of console options on top of just the great 3DS library, and it was portable. And you could actually watch some stuff on it too if you wanted to watch Netflix on it. I'm not really sure why you would, but it was there. YouTube was on there as well. So it was really cool, and I really, really liked the Nintendo 3DS. And, of course, like I said, just the new Nintendo 3DS XL, because it allowed you that extra step to play those Super Nintendo games and stuff. But, yeah, I am about to sneeze. Oh, God. Go away. Go away. Oh, my nose is burning. See, kids, this is why you have editors, and but I do not, and I cannot, and that really sucks. Whatever, it's fine. Anyways, but yeah, so I just think it's really cool. I know with the DS you could play Game Boy games, and DS games, which is a huge library, and that's great. I kind of wish you would have been able to play Game Boy games on the 3DS as well, but it is what it is. There's at least some Virtual Console Game Boy games that you could play now, so it just has a good versatility. I really like playing it. It was really fun, and I just like it over the PS4. Let me know down in the comments if you agree with my thing, if you like the 3DS or the new Nintendo 3DS more than the PS4, and let me know if I might be a crazy person. But that's just my personal feelings on it. But yeah, that was my number 3. And so next we have my number 2. And this, again, you're going to see the pattern. See, my 4th was PS4. And then my 3rd was the 3DS. And then my 2nd is the PS2. So, and again, I thought really deeply and hard about this, and this is just where they went. It just happened to have a funny side effect of like having them in like the numbered spots that is about their name. So that was cool. But the PS2, it was really great, and a lot of it is nostalgia. I will be really honest when I finally got one, but the PS2 was just so cool and different from like when you upgraded from a PS1 from a PS2, it was a giant jump in like quality and freaking what you could do, what the system could do, and all this kind of stuff, of course, because you go from the PS1 that could play PS1 games and can play CDs, to listen to music, and then you got the PS2 that could play these way better looking PS2 games, and the PS2 has so many good games, and it has such a huge library, and it's just so much better looking. And then you're like, oh man, I could play PS1 games on this too. So it's like, not only do you have the PS2 games now, but you still have your old PS1 games that work. And then you could still play CDs on it. And then you could play DVDs on it. It was also a DVD player. It's like you jump from the PS1 to that, when you were in the early 2000s. That would have blown your mind. That was so crazy and a crazy jump. And then the PS2 itself looked cool. I'm talking about the fat one, not the slim one. The slim one sucked. I had both, but the slim one was all right, but you pushed a button and the flap just came over. It was all right. It's better than the PS3 that had the sliding thing on the top. That's the one that I had eventually, and I hated it. But the slim was all right, I guess. But I just thought the fat one was cool. It was big. It had the lighted buttons. You hit one, the button to make the tray come out. It was just so cool, back in the time. So, and with also memories that I'll talk about in my video next week. But yeah, those are the reasons why the PS2 is one of my most favorite consoles. It's my number 2, and so yeah. So now my number 1. And this one was tough between the PS2 and it. I had to really think about it. And my number 1 is the PS3, specifically the fat version. Because like I said, I had both. And I eventually got another one way later. It was the 500 gigabyte model. And it just had the tray, the sliding top part that you just you closed it and slid it. I hate that thing. It's so stupid. And so, yeah, so I'm talking about the original one, the fat one. I loved it. It was so futuristic. The way it looked was really cool. The way you inserted games into it and took them was so futuristic. It just looked futuristic and cool, man. And it could do so much. Because, the browser on the PS2, it wasn't much. And then you have this whole freaking menus and all this crazy stuff. It connected to the internet and Wi-Fi, and I understand that the PS2 could do that too, but not to the degree that this does. And I don't know, it was so great. I feel like a lot of stuff that going from the PS1 to the PS2 was amazing and great and huge, but there was still a little bit more going from the PS2 to the PS3. It's just such a huge upgrade. Not in terms of, I guess, visuals. I mean, the PS3 games did look good. Don't get me wrong, from the PS2 to the PS3. Of course they did. But probably not as big of a jump as PS1 to PS2. But you could do a whole bunch of stuff. It's just the whole internet stuff that you could do, and getting online and playing games online, buying games online. Just this whole new freaking world. And it was so cool, and I really love the PS3. I really, really love the PS3. It was very close. I could probably interchange these. The PS2 might be the number 1 here, but I had to really be I have to pin it down. I really like to try to pin stuff down, and just the PS3 edges it out a little bit because of its more futuristic stuff, and it was just really cool. So, yeah, my number 1 was the PS3. So, yeah, like I said, recap. My number My number 5 was the GameCube. My number 4 was the PS4. My number 3 was the new Nintendo 3DS. And my number 2 was the PS2, and my number 1 was the PS3. Oh man, I know, like the numbers thing was just great. That it just worked out like that. But I really thought about this, and I love these consoles. I like other consoles too, don't get me wrong. These are just my top 5 favorite. And like I said, there are some consoles I never got to try. I never got to really play. I played like some Xboxes and Xbox 360 maybe like once or twice in my day. And it was just like, man, I just wasn't drawn to Xbox. So that consoles really has no meaning to me. So, you know, and I never really got to play, never got to play a Switch or a Wii or a Wii U or any of those. So I don't really have any other, maybe those would have changed my thoughts or whatever, but this is what I got. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite game system is and game console, and I'll be interested to read that. But yeah, that has been it for me on my top 5 favorite video game consoles. So thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for listening. I will see you in the next video.